Back in the day before go-karting and tennis, Mario was known for his platforming gameplay. Nintendo released banger after banger: Mario Bros., Mario Bros. 3, Super Mario World. Truly legendary games I have invested an embarrassing amount of hours into. And although I do think that people will associate Mario more with Mario Kart now, since it is the highest grossing Nintendo series, I love that Nintendo's bringing this series back, and with the facelift that it needed. So with all that said, here's 6 reasons to be hype for Super Mario Wonder. The first reason I'm excited for Super Mario Wonder is because this game has so many characters. This beats out Super Mario 3D World by a landslide. We'll be able to play as Mario, Luigi, 2 Toads, Toadette, 4 different Yoshi variants, Nabbit from Super Mario Bros. U, and for the first time ever, you can play as Daisy in a 2D Mario game. Now, although most of these characters will work the same, there will still be ways that you can change up the gameplay overall, but I'll get into that a little later into the video. But for right now, I just want to entertain the idea of them doing a DLC pack. Since this is a big roster, I could actually see them adding even more characters onto it. And I already have a pretty good idea of some characters who I'd like to see. And you know what? I'll even post a poll on the channel. Make sure you vote on who you want to see in Super Mario Wonder. I'm really curious to see who's going to win this. Not really a playable character, but we finally got confirmation that this caterpillar is not the same caterpillar from the Mario animated movie. This is actually Prince of the Flower Kingdom, and I wonder what's going to be his spot in the story. But what's even cooler than that is that this game has some amazing level designs. Some of the new Super Mario series levels started to feel a little samey, but man, they have so many new ideas, it's crazy. All the terrain looks brand new because we finally left the Mushroom Kingdom. And I gotta say, my favorite level so far is when we see the Mushroom Forest, and it's so refreshing to finally get new courses in a Mario game. Most of these backgrounds actually remind me more of a Kirby game or a Donkey Kong game, especially because of all the foreground and background elements, which is refreshing after a game like Super Mario Maker, where we were actually able to make our own courses. I'm actually glad that we're leaving the Mushroom Kingdom so we could actually have a new experience here. I'm really excited to see Bowser's Castle and the Ghost Houses. But something I'm really surprised not a lot of people are talking about is the fact that this game doesn't even have a time limit. I mean, sure, you can see some counters on the screen at some points in the trailer, but that timer only gets activated after you collect a Wonder Seed. So there's a pretty good chance that these are going to be some pretty lengthy levels. And across these levels, you can see a whole new cast of enemies. Now, since this game's playable at Gamescom, plus the Nintendo Treehouse, there's too many enemies for me to count here in this video. But trust me when I tell you that these enemies are really interactable this time around. At one point we even see birds start eating the ground. We see a new mummy type enemy. It's gonna make each level feel more and more unique. I feel like I've already seen a whole Mario game's worth of enemies in what I've seen in the gameplay. So I wonder what other returning or new enemies they're gonna have later into the game that we just haven't seen yet. I'm also curious to see what kind of ideas they could come up with for the bosses. I'm like 99.9% sure the Kooperlings aren't going to be in this game, but Bowser is back in the Kooper Clown Cart, so I think that they'll probably do something with the Super Mario World boss fight. I'm also really excited to see what they could do at Magic Koopa. I think that'd be really cool if they have Magic Koopa use a Wonder Flower. That would be sick. And we also see that Bowser Jr. is kind of taking on a Fury Bowser state, which is probably a result of a Wonder Flower. That kind of leads me to think that all the bosses might actually be different enemies with the Wonder effect. Kind of like how it was in New Super Mario Bros. Back on the DS. If not that, I'm sure that'll still play some type of role in the boss battles. I'm just glad that it'll be better than Super Mario Bros. U. That game's bosses were too easy. But of course, one of the most iconic traits of Mario games are the power-ups. And this game has some very interesting ones. Let's just address the elephant in the room. By collecting this, apple, Mario could turn into an elephant. Despite how bizarre this power is, it's probably one of my favorite new ones in the game. Although I will say, I do feel kind of bad for Yoshi having to carry all this weight. It's just so silly, weird, and bizarre, and I'm glad to see that after this long break from 2D Mario games. That being said, it adds a lot to his moveset as well. And honestly, it doesn't negatively affect his abilities like I thought it was going to. Actually, it helps his abilities because he can run over large gaps and crush through bricks just by jumping into them. It's weird because Mario's used to having animal power-ups, but as far as I know, this is the first power-up that actually turns Mario himself into an animal. Usually he'll wear an outfit or something. And we kind of suspected that you'd be able to use your trunk to collect water, and yeah, they actually showed that off in the Direct. So I'm sure they're going to use that feature a lot for puzzles. Also, there's this kind of new bubble power-up. And I only say kind of because it's very similar to Baby Yoshi in Super Mario Bros. U, but it's even better this time around since you don't have to carry Baby Yoshi around. Perfect. But as it worked in that game, the bubbles will travel through walls, and when you shoot bubbles, it would destroy enemies. These bubbles could also be used as platforms. With that and the introduction of challenge stages, I'm sure that Nintendo had a ball with this. Usually Mario games will have a flying power-up, but I guess this is probably this game's equivalent to that. That, and we do see a glimpse of the P-Balloon later in the trailer, but Nintendo for some reason didn't really talk about it. The third and last new power-up we saw in the Direct is the Drill, which is not the same drill from Mario Galaxy. The drill from Mario Wonder works more like it did in Kirby's Surrounding Land. You can drill through the ground and break different types of platforms, or use it basically like the Shelmet from Super Mario Maker. It's really cool stuff, but I think my favorite part is the fact that you could drill into the ceiling and skip entire portions of levels. I would say it's pretty broken, but then again I like Kirby games, so. Also, something major that we learned in the Direct was how much they had an online focus. I always play Mario games with multiplayer. It's just more fun to me. So it's cool that a lot more people are going to be able to have that experience. Sure, you'll still have to go through the Nintendo Online app if you want to hear voice chat, but it's still really cool to have this function in the game, because it wasn't really something that we saw a whole lot in Mario. Plus, Discord works as a good enough alternative. There are some more subtle details that we'll have to figure out later down the line, but for the most part, this looks really nice. And of course, I can't get through this entire video and not talk about possibly the biggest change to the game, the badge system. I thought this was really clever. Honestly, it's something I didn't really even know that I wanted. I always thought that they should do something new with Mario, but it's hard because Mario's such a classic staple of the 2D platforming genre that it would be weird for him to make a complete changeover. So this is actually a genius idea. I think it might be safe to say that this might actually go down as the most unique 2D Mario platformer. In fact, I like this idea so much that whatever game comes after Super Mario Wonder should actually have the badges. It gives Mario new moves like a whip that you can use to grab onto walls, different power-ups to make you faster underwater. Cool and unique stuff like that really makes this game stand out to me. And if people had this in Super Mario Maker, then I would have to drop the game. Some of the silly ones are being invisible, which I'm not sure if I'd ever really use. Sure, you don't have to worry about enemies, but Mario is a platforming game. Some of these are obviously for younger players too, where it's gonna automatically make it so you can't fall off the stage. Pretty much like Mario Kart, it'll basically make it so you don't fall off the stage, you'll just automatically jump. A very useful one is actually one that makes Mario's head into like a paraglider. And I just can't wait to see what other badges they came up with that we haven't seen yet. With the amount of stuff there is in this game to talk about, I could probably talk about this game until it actually comes out. But before long, we'll actually be able to play the game for ourselves. So I hope this video got you as hyped as I am. But if you're interested in more Mario or fighting game content, make sure to check out the channel. Who knows, you might just like it. Oh yeah, and don't forget to vote on the character poll. That should be live on the channel now. Honestly, I could probably make a whole video of who I want to see in this game, but I'll try to contain my excitement for now. And that's going to do it for me today. Until next time, peace.